Hey everyone, Reaper here again with another video. This time I thought I would make a quick video about some of my mid-grade EC slabs. Now, I have a bunch of EC comics that are in mid-grade. Some of them are not slabbed or not slabbed yet. Planning to probably send some more this year to get slabbed. But I figured I would just make a quick video about some of the ones that I have that are mid-grade. And it's no secret to anybody that's been watching this channel, a lot of these, if not all of these, except for maybe one, have all been upgrades. So let's take a look. This video is really dedicated to those that like to see cool EC covers. Like I said, I don't have too many EC mid-grade slab books. I just grabbed these. But hopefully you'll enjoy them anyway. So here we have Haunt of Fear. What is this? I always get this. I almost said number 6. I always get this one confused with number 6. But it is a 6.0. Years ago, I had a copy of this. I had a 3.0 copy of this that I just sold off. Actually, I sold it off years ago too. And I said to myself, yeah, I'll eventually get back to getting Haunt of Fear number 7. But it took a while. It really did. It really took a while to find the right copy. And last year, over the summer, this one popped up. And I was like, wow, this is a really nice mid-grade book. So, 6.0. And I need this copy. Or like, I need this book. So I decided to get it. Pretty cool. I like the stories in that one too. It's, sometimes the ECs... Some of the books, and I've said this in other videos, sometimes the stories are not always as good. Most of the time they're good, but they're not as good as I would like. But that's one of the rare cases where majority of the stories in that one are really, really good. Now this is the last Haunt of Fear. Like I said, I do have some other mid-grade Haunt of Fear books that are just raw. Maybe we'll make a raw video of those another time. But let's just stick with the slabs for this. So here we have a very, very famous cover. This is Haunt of Fear number 17. It's actually the second number 17. This is the I forget what year, 52, I think it was. The original one came out in 1950. But here we have the zombie cover, the 3 zombie cover by Graham Ingalls. One of the more famous covers from that era of EC. Now this is the book I mentioned earlier. I got a nice 6.5, okay? I bought this book a couple of years ago. I've never owned this book before. Like I said with this one right here, I've owned a 3.0 copy of this, and then I sold it off, and then eventually I got that one. I've never owned a previous copy of this book. This was my very first copy of this book. I did a trade, actually, and some cash to get this one. So that really worked out, I think, very, very well. But here we have a nice 6.5, Haunt of Fear number 17. And now we go to Vault of Horror. This one I purchased from my friend Mike. This is really a stunning 6.0 copy, but it's a Vault of Horror. Vault of Horror number 31. That's a pretty brutal cover. The guy obviously smashed that guy's head in. But I bought this from Mike. I owned a copy of this briefly raw, I believe 6 months before I bought this one. I bought this one last year from Mike. And I won it off of eBay. And the guy said it was a certain grade, probably like a 3.5 or something like that. I was like, all right, well, whatever. It came in the mail. And he didn't mention that the cover was completely split from the top to the bottom. Yet he called that a 3.5. And this is one of the things that gets me so angry. And again, one of the things that I mentioned in my previous video, why you're upgrading, how come you always get slabs? I said I sometimes get raw, but most of the time I prefer slabs. And this is precisely why. Well, one of the reasons why. Here we have a guy, and he didn't show, way he showed the book, I never would have thought to ask him seeing that he graded it at a 3.5, and the way he showed the pictures of the book, never would have thought that it was split. He completely left it out of the pics. Completely. And then when I got it and I was opening it up to count the pages and all that stuff, I have the front cover in one hand and the rest of the book in the other. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. So at least with slabs, I know what I'm getting for the most part. And I know sometimes people are like, oh my God, how are you supposed to read them? You don't. You buy reprints. I'm not really fond about opening up a 6.0, 8.0, whatever it is, book from the golden age and flipping through it. It's nice to do that every now and then, but it's not something that I would regularly do. So therefore, it's nice in the slab. Here's another Vault of Horror, and I've showed this in the last video, but I have to put it in this. I have to put it in this video too because of the subject. Here we have Vault of Horror number 19. It's a nice 7.0 copy. I told you the story about this for those that watch my channel. You saw the last video. When I said, oh, here's some nice upgrades that I got over the last 6 to 8 months. And this was one of them, so this is appearing again. I told the story about it, so I'm not going to tell you it again in this video. But very nice, very nice. Very nice book. But I will say this about that book, and I don't think I covered this in the last video. I purchased it from a very well-known comic dealer, and he's a pretty good guy, I think. You know, straight shooter, no problems, but he does overgrade. He does, and he graded that book raw because I originally bought it raw at a certain number, which I didn't agree with, but I knew it would probably come back a nice grade. But yes, again, like I said, sometimes there's risk involved, and I prefer to get my upgrades prefer to purchase them slab. That was just one of the cases where I bought it raw and then had it graded, pressed and graded. Now this one right here, the next two, these are going to be making, they're going to be showing up in comic book haul number, I don't know what the one is, 53 or something like that. That's the next comic book haul that should be out like within the next month. So you get a little sneak preview of this. Just like last video, you got a sneak peek of the Avengers 57 upgrade. Well, here you'll have 2 EC upgrades sneak peek. Because most of the time people don't watch those videos to see the ECs. They want to see the next superhero book that's up, or the next hot book that might pop up in a YouTube haul that the YouTuber is going to talk about. They're not looking for ECs, so it's okay to have this little sneak peek. Last Vault of Horror, and this one I've owned multiple copies of it, and it's just really hard to find, but I managed to get it in a nice 6.0. And here we have Vault of Horror number 14. This is the 3rd issue. And I know it says 14, but it's actually number 3. Yeah, a very nice yellow cover, deep green, deep yellow, nice 6.0, good front and back. And on the inside, well, according to the notes, yeah, really nice. I originally purchased a copy because I was just trying to finish my Vault of Horror run, and I purchased it last year. I don't remember when. It was a low-grade copy. Then the same guy, right? The same guy I purchased this from raw, I bought my second copy of this. He said it was a 4.0. I didn't agree. I think it was a 3.5. Yeah, not going to squabble over half a point. It was still much better than my previous copy. And I said that'd be okay for now until this one popped up. And I said, ooh, this is much better than the other one. I'm going to go with this. And I did. So it was nice to find. I had a bunch of opportunities to get a 6.0 or a 6.5. And I let them go because I thought that the prices were just so high. I mean, you know, sometimes the asking prices from some people, just because they have a pre-code horror, they think that, oh, they could just name their price. And a lot of times you can. Don't get me wrong. But it just wasn't a price that I was willing to pay. And then this one popped up at the price that I was willing to pay. It worked out wonderfully. So I was happy that, you know, patience paid off, at least with that book. 2 more. Now we go to Tales from the Crypt, okay? This is the other one that is going to appear in the next comic book haul. Nice little upgrade. A very nice upgrade. I had a 2.5 copy of this for a couple of years. And now I was able to upgrade it to a nice 6.5, and I'll say the same thing in Comic Book Haul whenever it comes out. But here we have Tales from the Crypt number 25, a nice 6.5 copy. Yeah. I've been looking for this one for a long time. And again, I didn't see too many in this grade. I mean, I saw one in this grade, I think it was when was that? Might have been last year sometime on Comic Link, and I just let it go because I think I was buying something else. And yeah, this one popped up at a price that I thought was really, really good, and I got rid of my undercopy and got rid of that one, and say hello to 6.5. And the last one for this haul is another Tales from the Crypt book. We have Tales from the Crypt number 28. Nice 6.0 copy. This book here, no surprise, was a book that I originally, well, not originally with this one. I had a raw copy. As a matter of fact, when I started collecting ECs, when I said to myself, I think I'm going to go full-blown into ECs, because I was a little nervous about doing that because I wanted so many, at the time, I wanted so many superhero books, and to dedicate time to getting the ECs is, it dips into the finances, So I think that's one of the reasons why so many people who collect superhero books don't necessarily go for the pre-codes, because the pre-codes could be expensive and it takes some resources away from what their primary love is, which is collecting superheroes, no matter what company, Marvel, DC, whatever. So it does take a considerable amount of resources to get both. Well, as time went on, I started, as you know, I've been getting a lot of the superhero books I wanted, and I've been upgrading them, so the resources are not as thin as they used to be. But back in the day when they were, Tales from the Crypt 28 was the second Tales from the Crypt book I purchased. I think it was either the second or the third, but it was one of the early ones that I was able to get. The first one that I got, I believe, first Tales from the Crypt book that I purchased, original one, was Tales from the Crypt 34. It was the Frankenstein cover. And I actually think the second one, or maybe not. Maybe this was the second one. I don't know. But that one, I remember when I got it, it was about a 3.0. It looked nice, but it had some water damage. Okay, and nothing bad where it got to the staples or had a smell. It's not like one of those. The water damage was smack in the middle. It's like someone had water and then accidentally poured it over here. And it didn't make it to the corners, but it did leave somewhat of a stain along the white in the crypt area. And then when you opened up the book, it had a little bit of a stain. Like I said, I think I had Nick clean it, and he took out a lot of the stain, but still, when the opportunity came up, and this was a few years ago, this is more than a few years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago, when the opportunity came up to get this one, wow, 6.0, I took it, and I was able to unload the other one pretty quickly. Whenever I sell EC books, they usually go pretty quickly. Sometimes you'll have a few that sort of linger on for a little while, like a month, but they pretty much go quickly. That's just my experience, no matter what the grade. So that's it for this particular video. I'll see if I can make more videos like this. Maybe I might do a raw edition of some superhero books, and maybe a raw edition of EC books, mid-grade or high grade, depending on what I have. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and take care.